Hi Aquarius, welcome to your December 2019 Astrology 33 reading. Thank you to those of you who've liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. And also, for those of you interested in booking a personal reading with me, I actually won't be offering those until I think around the second week of December. So just keep an eye out. I will post something on the channel when I am going to pick those back up. But just wanted to let you guys know that. And as far as what we have in front of us, we have a Celtic cross spread as always. Got some extra cards that came out there. And then we also have a couple of oracle cards we'll go through once we get through the main spread, and also a mudra card. So quite a bit to get to. Starting with the main spread. In the main situation position, we have the Page of Pentacles in reverse. So this can mean a few different things. For one, it can mean that maybe an offer that was on the table might have been pulled back, either from you or someone else. That's one way that I could see it going. Another way this could be playing out too, though, it could just be saying that, maybe for a while you've been feeling like stability was just out of your reach. Since we see that pentacle, it looks like it's just out of the page's reach there. So it could just be saying that maybe you're coming out of that feeling and feeling a little bit more secure with your situation around, finances, but maybe just security in general. But given that it's coming in the reverse position, actually the main vibe that I'm picking up with this is that some of you might be considering making an offer to someone, and maybe you got really close to doing so, but now that might be on hold for whatever reason. You might be reconsidering doing so at this time. That's primarily what I'm seeing there, and like I said, could play out where it's also someone thinking of extending an offer to you, and maybe that's on hold right now. Either way, it wouldn't surprise me too much, especially as far as, at the time I'm recording this, pretty much in the middle of November. We still have the Mercury retrograde stuff playing out, and even though it will be direct by the time we get to December, it's still going to be in its shadow period in the very early part of December. So naturally, it wouldn't surprise me if coming into December, you guys still had some things up in the air. In the Challenger obstacle position, we have the Lovers. So this is the major arcana card for Gemini. So for some of you, this can be a holdup around communication with whatever this offer may be, and that could be the problem, right? Maybe it's an offer that you're ready to accept, but maybe it's just up in the air. Maybe you've already extended the offer and haven't heard anything back from the person yet, since, again, this could represent your third house of communication. And then given that for you guys in particular, Gemini represents the fifth house, this can be related to creative projects, also romance. So it could be a romantic offer you made to someone, or maybe you're trying to get some kind of a creative project off the ground and seeing if maybe you're going to get funding for it, and maybe you just haven't heard back yet at this time. I'm trying to think if anything else comes to mind. And, it could also be that maybe there's a second option at play now, too. So maybe you're a little bit split. Like, okay, well, now which one do I want to go with, right? That could be what the Lover's energy is pointing to there. In foundation position, we have the Four of Wands. So this is actually an Aries card. And again, for you guys, Aries is your house of communication. So this can just be saying that you're hoping to see communication stabilize, which obviously that would make sense if there's an offer up in the air, or if you're unsure about making an offer, or someone's unsure of making one to you. Naturally, you'd want to make that, but with this coming out in the foundation position, though, this does show that this is definitely a promising sign that there will be some stability in that area. And again, this could just be saying that this is your primary focus too, which is to have some stability, right? Whether it be, like I said, in a romantic situation, which we could definitely see that as a possibility given the two people on the card there. Definitely a celebratory vibe, expansive vibe going on as well. So that could be what this is pointing to. In the past position, we have the Moon. So most likely this is what led you up to all of this, right? Where you might be unsure. Maybe this is just saying that there's been a lot of confusion going on with the Moon card showing up here. Now, some readers do look at the Moon as deception. I don't really see it that way, especially when it's in the upright. To me, the way I explain it is more like if you're in unfamiliar surroundings, right, and the light suddenly goes out. If you have to navigate your way around that room, you might not feel that comfortable, right, because you're not familiar with the room. So you might feel your way around to make sure you don't knock anything over, bump into anything. It's not that anything in the room got moved around, but it's just that, you're not feeling comfortable navigating it because you're not familiar with it. So usually the message there is to just feel your way through the situation. So rely on your intuition a little bit more if you can. And as far as moon cycles going on, given that we do have the lovers there, well, I mean, I doubt it's going to point to the full moon in Gemini because that's going to happen pretty much in the middle of December, and this is showing up in the past position, so I'm not really seeing it as being that. Could be maybe, well, like I said, at the time that I'm recording this, we're pretty much just having that, we just got through the full moon energy of Taurus, so maybe this is related to the Taurus full moon for some of you. Maybe there's some situation going on with your families as well. So that could be what's at play there. But in general, it doesn't necessarily have to point to a specific lunar cycle. It could just be saying that maybe there was some confusion in the past. In the present position, we have the Ace of Cups and the Hermit. So this, again, these two cards coming out together makes me think that there is an offer at play and now I'm starting to feel more like it probably is you who wants to make the offer, and maybe you just started to reconsider it, and maybe it's one of those things where you're really stressing yourself out, like you want it to be just right. So I'm feeling for a lot of you, this probably is going to be a romantic offer. So here's what I see with this going on, right? Maybe with the Page of Pentacles, it was your approach, right? Maybe you were thinking to yourself, all right, I'm just going to go right in and offer them some, like a stable, long-term commitment, right? And then maybe for whatever reason you start to reconsider that. Maybe you got a little nervous about it, right? And now I'm looking at this showing up in the present with the Hermit. And to me, it's like maybe you're reconsidering your approach, Now you're like, all right, well, maybe I shouldn't just come flat out and ask for a serious relationship. Maybe I'll just try to be a little more romantic. I mean, these are just generic examples, but it's like you're reconsidering your approach for some reason. And the reason I say that is with the Hermit, usually shows a lot of reflection, going inward, really taking time to evaluate a situation and figure out the best way forward, really taking that deep analysis. And if we look at where he's looking in the spread, he's looking down towards the moon. So it's like he's trying to figure out the confusion, right, and figure out the best way forward. And it looks like this could just be you're reconsidering your approach and going with a more emotional, romantic approach as opposed to a more straightforward, very stable, I don't want to say dry offer, but, where it's a little bit more serious, you might just try to lighten the mood a little bit with your offer. In the near future position, we have the Page of Cups. So what I'm seeing primarily with this is coming out of that energy of, being stuck and reconsidering your approach and thinking, all right, well, this is going to be the approach that I make. To me, the Ace and the Page energies are very much linked together. It's just saying that the Ace energy is usually when something's more in the idea stage, with the hand coming out of the cloud. The cloud makes me think of the idea process, right? So it's like it's not actually physically playing out, but it's something on your mind. And then here with the Page, we see it actually taking place. So that's primarily what I'm seeing there. Going into the month, they're probably just reconsidering how you want to make the offer, if you want to make the offer, and then it does look like you eventually do decide to go forward with it. In the position of your energy toward the situation, we have the Queen of Wands. So this is actually the court card for Aries. So again, another indicator of third house matters for you, which is communication. And I will say, actually, towards the end of November, there's going to be a new moon in Sagittarius. And it's actually going to be trine Chiron, which is in your third house of communication. So that could be helpful. And then in addition to that, you're actually going to have Chiron go direct in your sign in December too. So, anything around communication and maybe not feeling as comfortable with communicating for whatever reason, that should start to clear up for you guys in December if you are feeling that way. And I will say what could be going on here is maybe you've just, maybe you feel like a little unlucky when it comes to, like I said, for most of you, I feel like this is a romantic offer, but maybe it's even a proposition you're trying to make in your workplace. Maybe you have a new idea of how to approach a work process, right? you're like, oh, I don't know if I should pitch it. It might get shot down, right? So could just be saying that maybe you're a little worried with that black cat energy there. Could just be saying that maybe there's some fear for whatever reason for you to make the actual offer, feeling that maybe it's gone bad for you in the past, and then I'm even looking at her holding that flower, right? And like it looks like she wants to offer it to someone, but she's a little hesitant as well. Again, being of like two minds of a situation. Like I said, with the Lover's card, that could be what that is too. And then the Moon, we see the duality there. So could just be on the fence. And then in the environment position, we have the Six of Wands. Now, what was interesting to me, and I decided to keep it that way, if you guys noticed, it came out sideways in this particular spread. So I'm like, well, to me, that probably happened for a reason, So what I'm thinking here, now this is the environment position, so this could just be saying that maybe why you might be reconsidering all of this so much could be maybe because people in your environment, you feel like some of them wouldn't approve of the connection, right? So maybe that's what it is. You're like, oh, I don't think, again, maybe it's family members or certain friends of yours might not like the person, something like that, right? But it looks like they're saying that there would be some support, but then there might be other people who might not be as excited about it for you, so. And then unfortunately, I think I might have gotten a vibe like this for you guys maybe a month or two ago also, where maybe you guys have something that's really going well for you, and then unfortunately maybe not everyone in your environment is as happy for you as you would expect. So that could be another way it's playing out here as well, which is to say, maybe you're not getting the support of everyone that you might have thought you would. But the good thing is, as far as the way it landed, to me, with it landing this way, sideways, does show, even if it's just a 60-40 split, that there would be more people that are supportive versus not supportive. Whereas had it come out this way, sideways, then to me that would be closer to the reverse position. So at least you could take that as a positive. There would be more support than, detractors there. And maybe this is even the person where you're like, you feel like they're a little wishy-washy. So maybe that's what's making you unsure. Like, all right, like, I feel like I should make the move, but I don't know, right? That could be what's going on there. So interesting that it came out that way. In the hopes or fears position, we got the Three of Swords, the Ace of Wands, and the Death card. So, for some of you, this can definitely be around career, and maybe you're trying to completely switch paths and leave one job for another. And the reason I say that is because we have that Three of Swords energy there, and then the Ace of Wands, which would point to a new start, right? And then the Death would be leaving something behind. And usually the Death is something that's been going on for a long time, so it's like, could have been, for example, a job that you've been in for years, right? And maybe you're fearing actually leaving it behind because maybe you've just been so comfortable with it for so long. But maybe you're just realizing the more you try to fight it that, all right, maybe it is time for me to move on, right? And start something new. But, it can be easier said than done, right? So that could be what's going on there. The good thing is either way, even though these, well, at the very least, this looks like probably a fear, and maybe this one too. The Ace of Wands could be a hope, but seeing the three cards come out this way together, most likely this could just be a fear of yours to actually start something new. And then, well, I do say, when I see the cards in this position, whether they're good or bad, I always remind people it's just a hopes or fears, which is more of pointing to something that's on your mind as opposed to something that might physically play out. So there's no guarantee you're going to go through that situation. But what I will say, given the outcome card, and let me just pick that up now, actually. In the outcome position, we have the Five of Swords. So this is a card that points to, actually it's an Aquarius card for one. It represents the first 10 degrees of Aquarius. So if that's your placement, this might resonate for you a bit more. But this is what I always say to people. It's one of those types of conversations that going into it that nothing good is going to come out of it, but you still go into it anyway. So, it can be those petty types of arguments, and maybe someone just goes one step too far, right? So that could be the way it's playing out. Given that given that this is an Aquarius card, we could also look at it as the representative of the 11th house too, right? So maybe this could be saying that this could be with friends. So again, going back to what I was saying before, maybe your whole hesitation to make this offer could be because not everyone in your friend group might, they might not like the person, right? So then you end up moving forward with the person and maybe you get into an argument with your friends about it. Or maybe, again, this is you leaving one job for another, and maybe the people in your current work environment get really upset with you, and you guys get into an argument over it, right? So that's a few different ways that it could be playing out. But what I will say here is more of a precautionary thing is if this is a fear of yours because you haven't fully healed from something from your past, what I always say to people when I see the Five of Swords, rather, is what stands out to me is he's holding 3 swords, which seems very out of place, right? It's like it's one thing if you're holding 2, right? You have 1 in each hand to fight. Okay, maybe that would be an advantage, but 3 isn't going to help, right? Obviously, it's going to be more of a burden than anything. So that makes me think of the 3 of Swords and the card here. So to me, what that represents when I see the 5, because if you think about the 4 of Swords, we see the person laying down and healing, it appears, right? So to me, it's almost like this person skipped that step. It's like they went through a heartbreak, never really fully healed from it, but they convinced themselves that they did. But what ends up happening is because they haven't healed and they're still carrying those 3 swords everywhere, if someone gets too close, they tend to, end up causing this type of a dynamic where they push the people away and it's really just because they haven't healed. So I will say if this is what your fear is around, then maybe it would be advisable to hold off on making the offer to the person, at least for the time being, and actually try to do the work to heal. I know that sounds easier said than done, right? If this is something you've been holding on to for a long time, but what I will say is there's going to be some supportive energies for that. As far as, well, for one, like I said, towards the end of November, there's going to be that new moon in Sagittarius that's going to trine Chiron in your 3rd house. But then we're also going to have Jupiter moving into Capricorn, which is your 12th house, and 12th house can be a lot of self-sabotage type things, maybe where you get in your own way but you're not aware of it. And Jupiter is actually going to move in there early in December, and then towards the end of December, it's actually going to be with the Capricorn new moon in your 12th house, which is going to be an eclipse. And it's actually going to be trine Uranus, which is your ruler, in the sign of Taurus. So this could even be maybe something going way back with family, and maybe that's where the wound is coming from. So the good thing is, if this is a dynamic, if this does resonate with you, I'm sure it's not going to resonate with all of you, but for those of you it does, it's a little important for me to go through this. And I would say that this is actually going to be a really good time to push forward with that healing because those energies are going to be very supportive. Jupiter is often referred to as the planet of luck, but it's also expansion. So what can happen is, yes, it'll give you luck in certain areas, but if there's a problem already there, it's just going to expand it and bring it more into the forefront, bring it more to your attention. So don't underestimate the power of that eclipse for you guys towards the end of December. It's right around Christmas time. So especially if it is a family thing, maybe it would just be a good time for you to try to heal those connections if possible. And then that could actually end up benefiting you in a lot of different ways. All right. I almost forgot to mention at the bottom of the deck, we do have the Tower card. So if you wanted to, you could just pick up some black tourmaline for protection. And that's what I usually recommend to people when they have this card. But given that this is at the bottom of the deck, I feel like this is just pointing to the potential there with that 5 of Swords, where, like I said, if you leave something unaddressed, maybe it could lead to some kind of an argument. I just see this really as connected with that 5 of Swords, and given that that's in the outcome position, we have ample time for you guys to avoid that if you can. And then underneath that, the good thing is we have the Justice card, so that's a pretty good indicator, which is to say that, hey, however this goes down, whether this is you choosing to break something away that needs to go away rather than letting the universe do it for you, it can restore the balance for you. And then I'm not going to go through the bottom of the deck all day, but beneath that we have the Magician. So same vibe I was picking up on. Definitely supportive energy if you guys do need to heal something, to try to tackle that this month. And then think of it this way as well. Before you know it, we're going to be in your season basically towards the end of January. So 12th house energy in general is a good time to try to put some things behind you if possible. But like I said, this might actually even be the last eclipse in your 12th house. Don't quote me on that. If maybe there'd be one more during the time of Cancer. But yeah, so could be a good time to put those things behind you. All right, moving on to your oracle cards. First, we have the Fates. There's the artwork for it, and the number is 17. Okay, it says fate, karma, acceptance that there are things you cannot change, and knowing what those things are. The Oracle's message. The Serenity Prayer sums up the meaning of this card. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. There are things in your life you will never have control over. The conditions brought on by the evolution of the collective, by nature, and by your past experiences may be fated, preordained by spirit for a greater purpose you cannot understand in this lifetime. It may not be in your cards to understand why certain events occurred, but you can accept the mystery and work with what those events and your current circumstances have to teach you. This is the wisdom contained in the Serenity Prayer. So, pretty good message there, and maybe that's all tied into what I was saying here too, as far as maybe if there's something that you do need to heal from your past. So hopefully that resonated with some of you. The relationship message says other people are who they are. You can't change them. The challenge is to accept them as they are and not try to make them otherwise to suit you. This is a time to look at how you attempt to mold people to fit your view of how they should be so you can remain in the relationship and avoid discomfort. What if who they are and whatever is happening between you and them in this situation is perfect from the perspective of spirit? Now is the time to accept what you cannot change, even if it means that you honor yourself, spirit, and the other person by moving on. Love unconditionally, for each of us is on our own journey, and we cannot direct that of another. Be aware that this relationship is indeed fated, and you are meant to evolve into a better version of yourself as a result of it. So, pretty interesting message there, too. Like I said, I'm not getting a whole lot of energy from the other person in the situation. I feel more like there's some anxiety on your end around dealing with them. But hopefully you got something from that as well. Then the prosperity message says your experiences concerning prosperity and abundance are beyond your personal control right now. You are being invited to accept what is unreservedly. This could be a temporary situation seemingly thrust upon you by outside forces, but there is an underlying purpose you can't see that has been determined by the fates. It could be a situation you are unprepared for, and you may not understand how it will benefit you in the moment. Do not fight the situation. Ride it out and see where it leads. Surrender to it, and the serenity you need to make good choices from here on out will be given to you. You will indeed flourish. So, pretty solid message there, too. And like I said, I wasn't getting a huge career vibe there. I did mention some of what could be going on there, but hopefully you guys got something from that as well. All right, so the next card we have is Frog Spirit. It says clear out the clutter. There's the artwork, and the number is 28. This is from the Spirit Animal Oracle, by the way. Okay, it says, Frog Spirit knows that while all the other frogs are croaking away, this is the time for you to simplify and declutter your life so you can feel content on your own lily pad. Even when life isn't creating a total cacophony, we can become drawn to the excitement of lots of noise. Then the next thing we know, our schedules and homes are cluttered with commitments we regret making and objects taking up valuable space. Even relationships need decluttering, as they often become messy. Frog Spirit appears to tell you to clean house, prioritize what you need, and get rid of or give away the rest so you can have some space in your day-to-day in your head. You don't need the old stuff and its stories shouting at you about the past. Along with physical clutter, friendships are sometimes kept long past their expiration date, weighing you down with unnecessary baggage. Now is the time to let go. Whatever you need will appear when you need it, so release your grip on all that clutter that is making you feel anxious and burdened. Frog Spirit wants you to reclaim your space unencumbered by shoulds, oughts, and could have beens. Let go and jump. You are free from all that old stuff. So what's interesting there is going back to what I was saying, I think maybe it was last month or the month before, I was getting that vibe, and I'm pretty sure it was one of your readings. Maybe I don't know, imagining things, but I feel like there was a reading where maybe you were going through some successes and maybe some people in your friend group weren't as supportive as you maybe thought they should have been. So maybe it's even talking about those people, where you're starting to see their true colors. And again, going back to what I was saying about Jupiter being about expansion, it was traveling through your 11th house of friendships, and it's still there. Basically, it's going to leave, like I said, in early December, move into Capricorn. So on the one hand, that might have actually brought new friends into your life, right? And maybe you realize that they are more supportive, and then maybe you're realizing compared to your older friends, you're like, wow, maybe I really have outgrown this friend group, right? So maybe even that's what this is about. Maybe you're thinking about, leaving some friendships behind, and you really have some anxiety around that, right? Because maybe you're like, all right, well, this is how it's going to end up. But maybe it's saying in the long run, it might be time for that to happen anyway. But hopefully that resonated for you guys. And the last thing we have is a mudra card. So the card you guys got is Karana mudra. There it is right there. And the keyword for it is purification. All right, let's get the information on it. All right, looks like not everything fits in the frame here. So if you want to pause it or take a screenshot, you can, and then I'll move it up a bit so you can see the rest. Alright, but yeah, it says cleansing and purifying benefits the bladder, colon, and large intestine, detoxifies body and mind, assists with the release of negative patterns and habits. So especially that last part, assist with the release of negative patterns and habits. Like I was saying, with all that stuff going on in your 12th house, especially an eclipse going on there at the very end of the month, and it's going to be trine your ruler of Uranus, that could be pretty potent to help you clear some of that stuff out if you want to or if you need to. Alright, so if that sounds like something you'd benefit from, I will put the name of the mudra in the description of the video as well. Good luck to you guys. Happy holidays as well, and I'll see you guys next year. Alright, bye.